Okay, just like that. Also, I realized I spelled Laguna wrong on the first part of this. I had to fix that as well. So, hey, how are you doing? Doing pretty good, right? Now, I think I've actually been uploading these on a day-to-day basis. So, it's probably tomorrow for you now. How you doing? It's been 3 seconds for me. That was that GNX again. So, what do you think going into the future here? This camera angle or the cinematic shots? I like the grill cam for sure's. I know one thing, I can't do first person during those motorcycle games. Ew, no. Blah. Come on, you get around him. Okay, so here I go again on my own. I'm gonna go. I gotta make a drink. So I'll see you in like 3 minutes or something. Don't be too angry. I need a drink. For reals. I'll see you there. I'm leaving the room. You know I'm coming back because I like it and I need some of this fresh air. It's so good. Okay, so bye-bye for a while. 27. Oh my god, he's pitting. I'll screw him. We'll just do whatever he says. Standing up. They can't just squat. I'm doing that right now. I'm squatting right now. It's good for the everything. My god. Refueling takes forever. Oh, honkings. Should I even grab that book? I said I would, but I don't know if I should. You know what, F it, I'm grabbing the book. I'll see you in a minute. You know what, actually it'd be a good idea I just had? What if we made a second channel and I just like read books chapter by chapter? That would be great, wouldn't it? Let's give it a test drive right now. I need to put on my spectacles. No, I don't have any of those. Good, I left myself out of chapter. Okay, ready? Chapter 12. A skeptic is a person who, when sees the handwriting on the wall, claims it's a forgery. Daddy, wake up. Judd bounced onto Seth's bed with all the energy of a St. Bernard puppy. Seth longed to bury his head beneath his pillow and possibly would have been if Jason hadn't hurled himself into the bed after his brother. Whatever chance he had of returning to sleep was forever lost. This was when he got God damn it. This is what he got for letting the kids crawl in bed with him on weekends. Is Miss Maxwell going to be our new mommy? Aww, Seth groaned. He needed coffee and a shower before facing an inquisition from his two children. The word mommy implied marriage, and he wasn't anywhere close to considering a step that drastic. Sure, he enjoyed Reba's company, but that was a hell of a long way from taking the proverbial plunge into matrimony. The mere word put fear of God into him. Okay, I'm messing up some of the words. Mrs. Miracle showed us Mommy's picture last night, Jason announced. Seth's head reared back with shocked surprise. He didn't keep out any pictures of Pamela. Like the piano, they'd all been removed and stored carefully in the attic. It'd be a rash thing to do, perhaps even unreasonable, but at the time, it seemed necessary. I don't know. Should I keep doing this? One evening, several weeks after I'd sent the boys to live with the grandparents, Seth had gone on a rampage through the house, collecting every snapshot, every photograph he could lay his hands on. His shoulders had shaken with emotion as he'd gathered them together. Sometime later, he tucked them away in the storage space in the attic. No longer was he blindsided by pain. It wasn't much later that Seth realized that the out of sight didn't mean out of mind. Pamela's picture did not rest on the piano any longer, but she was still with him. Every time he walked in the house, she was there to greet him, to welcome him, to tell him she was pleased he was home. Not with words, naturally, but with memories. After time, when the pain of losing her wasn't as sharp, he found comfort in those small remembrances. At his loneliest moments, he sat in the living room and wrapped them around himself the way he did a winter coat in the dead of a snowstorm. He closed his eyes and pretended. Imagination was a powerful thing, and it didn't take more than a small dose to conjure what his life would have been like if Pamela lived. Even with the solace he'd received from those visions, he'd never crawl back in the attic and retrieve those pictures. I'd almost forgotten what Mommy looked like, Jason said, until Mrs. Miracle gave me the photograph. Which photograph? Seth demanded, and Jason flinched with surprise. He didn't mean to shout. His anger certainly wasn't directed at them. The incident with the lion that witch in the wardrobe was one thing, but Pamela's picture was another in the long list of the unexplainable. The one in my room, Jason answered. I'll get it. He was gone in an instant, flying off the bed with the agility and speed reserved for children. Before Seth could think to call him back, he returned, holding a 8x10 frame against his chest. This one, he announced breathlessly. The photograph was of Pamela soon after the birth of the twins. The very one he'd loved the most. Pamela radiantly happy, a newborn infant on each arm, smiling at him, smiling at the camera. Seth was furious, so angry he couldn't speak. What's wrong, Daddy? Judd said, cocking his head to get a better look at his father. I need to talk to Mrs. Merkel. She's in the kitchen. Seth climbed out of bed and reached for his robe and his shotgun, Numpkin. As he walked past Jason, he took the picture out of the frame. He took the picture frame out of his hands. Where'd you get this? He demanded before he was all the way into the kitchen. Mrs. Merkel was standing at the kitchen counter, stirring eggs. She looked at him, her eyes wide. I beg your pardon? This photograph of my wife. Where'd you get it? Oh, Mr. Webster, I hope you don't mind. The children were filled with questions about their mother. I assumed it was something to do with you going out with Mrs. Maxwell, after all. Where'd you get this picture? He repeated, waving his gun around Tumpkin, between gritted teeth. Yes. Well, she hesitated and dried her hands on her apron. I found it in the bookcase when I dusted the other morning. Someone had stuck it in between two volumes. Apparently, it's been there for some time. Of course, I wasn't sure it was your wife, but with the babies in her arms, I felt it must have just been. Judd has her eyes. If they're twins, don't they have the same eyes? I'm just saying. Seth's gaze traveled to his son, and he recognized that what the older woman said was true. Judd's dark brown eyes were the precise shape and color of Pamela's had been. Funny, he'd never noticed that before. Man, that's your son. You should know that. In the bookcase, you say? I apologize if I did something. I shouldn't have. She certainly looked contrite. I bought the frame the other day. It seems to go rather nicely, don't you think? Seth sighed. He hadn't meant to make a federal case out of a silly thing like a photograph. Although, he'd been in the bookcase himself more times than he could count. He could have easily overlooked the picture. Who knows, or who was to know how it came to be there in the first place? Perhaps Pamela had stuck it there herself. Perhaps he'd been the one to do it. Not that it mattered. Mommy had brown eyes like me, too, didn't she? Jason asked, looking at him expectantly. Yes, partner. Was he? Now he's like a cowboy? Anyway, is this working? Do you like this? Will my new mommy? Oh, crap, what did I just do? It was all Seth could do from keeping groaning about aloud. He looked to Miss Merkel to rescue him, but she was back, stirring eggs, hummed softly to herself. Dad? Judd pulled at his sleeve. Will she? He squatted down that his gaze was with his children. There isn't going to be another mommy, kids. Come on, dude. Come on, dude. I don't even know what we're doing here. I'm just reading the book. Oh, yeah. They both looked stunned. He might as well have announced that there was no such thing as Santa Claus from the shock he read in their expressive faces. But Mrs. Miracle said there would be. Irritated, Seth shot a glance toward his housekeeper, but she was busy with breakfast and either didn't hear or was pretending not to. He wasn't about to have the woman telling the children something like that. When he had a private moment, he'd mention it to her. With his fist, no. I even drew my new mommy's picture, Judd told him. The lad raced out of the kitchen and was back in a few moments later with a crayon drawing. Seth barely glanced at it and wouldn't have given a second's notice if it wasn't for two small matters. The woman Judd pictured had short, red, curly hair. Wait, hold on. I added red because the line below it had red. Short, curly hair and was wearing a shiny red dress. Reba's hair was short and curly, and she'd been wearing a bright red dress. Coincidence. Pure coincidence. She's real pretty, isn't she? Judd asked, proud of his efforts. She sure is, Seth muttered with no real enthusiasm. You like Miss Maxwell, don't you? This came from Jason. Yes, he admitted, but that doesn't mean I'm going to marry her. Both of his children had the same woe-begone, is that a word? Look of bitter disappointment. You'll look for a new mommy, won't you? Look for someone with brown eyes and curly hair and a red dress, Judd advised, and waved the picture under his nose once more. Seth was saved from having to answer when the housekeeper called them to the table. He bided his time and waited until after breakfast before he confronted Mrs. Merkel. It didn't take a genius to figure out where the children were getting the notion that he was about to remarry, and he wouldn't have it. Do you have a moment? He asked her as she carried the dirty dishes from the table to the sink. Of course. Ill at ease and disliking confrontation, he hesitated. I was wondering if you'd said anything to the children about about me remarrying. Seth didn't answer him right away, which was no. See, I'm just saying all kinds of stuff. I didn't mean to complain, he continued. The kids call you Mrs. Miracle, and frankly, I'd come to think of you that way. I don't know what we would have done without you, but I preferred if you didn't fill the children's heads with this talk about another mother. So you don't plan to remarry? She looked disappointed as the children. No, he returned emphatically. If his words discouraged her, it didn't last long. Her eyes rounded with a hint of mischief. Not even, Mr. Webster? Forever is a long, long time. Not ever, he assured her, raising his voice slightly. She laughed once, shortly, as if to contain her amused, and it wasn't able to contain it. Wow, did I misread that or what? Time will tell, won't it? Time will, certainly will. Damn it. Okay, so I could read a lot better than I could speak. He turned and stalked out of the kitchen and into the garage. He opened his car door before he realized he still had his pajamas and robe, not to mention that this was Saturday morning. Mrs. Miracle left the house an hour later, and Seth was alone with the children. Although he was grateful to have a housekeeper, he couldn't make bacon. No, I'm kidding. Help but being curious about Emily Merkel. She was certainly had a way about her. She'd taken his restless, spirited children under her wing, and within a matter of days had marked a difference in their behavior and attitude. Not once since her arrival had he received a call from the school or a note from their teacher. He found it curious. However, the way she arrived without notice, it was almost as if she descended from the clouds, using an umbrella as a parachute. Not that she resembled Mary Poppins, no, he definitely viewed her as a mother goose. Once he'd showered and shaved, Seth moved into the den. It certainly wouldn't hurt to contact the employment agency to make a few inquiries about her. It wouldn't hurt to check on her references either. Luckily, the agent was staffed on Saturdays. "Hello, this is Seth Webster," he said when Mrs. Ackerman, the agency owner, answered herself. That seems like weird wording. "Oh, Mr. Webster, I am so very sorry. I can't imagine what you must think of me. Mrs. Ackerman." Seth couldn't fathom why she would apologize. Yes, I realize that you've been waiting several weeks to hear back from me. I can't imagine how you managed all this time. I don't believe I understand." "A housekeeper. You do still need one, don't you?" "Aw." Seth was too stunned to respond. "I want you to know that I've been made inquiries each and every day, but a full-time housekeeper, willing to live in and care for 2 small children, why, they're few and far between these days, but not to mention the fact that you've gone through every domestic I have in short order." "What about Emily Merkel?" he asked. "Didn't you send her?" "Emily Merkel?" He could hear the rustle of papers in the background. "We don't have anyone by that name listed here. Let me check on the computer data file." He waited a moment. The sounds of type fingers against the computer keys echoed over the telephone line. "I'm afraid we don't have anyone by that name listed with the agency." "Are you sure her name is Merkel?" "Yes." All of a sudden, Seth was sure of nothing. Exactly who was this woman who'd insinuated herself into these children's lives? Hey, do you think that'll work? That was the whole chapter 12, by the way. How long did that take? I should really test drive that. Oh man, that'd be great, wouldn't it? But what should we show in the background? Just like the the actual cover art. Hey, I could do that, right? Just take a photograph of the book I'm reading, and then that would just be the thumbnail on the screen, right? Or should it be black screen? What do you think? Anyway, that was a whole chapter. Did you like it? Did you like it? I should maybe do that. That'd be great. Let's write that idea down. For me, I'm doing it. Don't do it. I'm doing it. I got a lot of books. And of course, I mess up the words, but... Okay, maybe we won't do another chapter, next part. It'd be great though, wouldn't it? I gotta do something. Plus, reading's great for the brain. You know what I mean? I wonder if, if you're saying it out loud, if it has the same staying power as if you were just reading it with your eyes. Okay, we're at 29 minutes. Okay, I don't know what's going on here. I think it's the extra, 4 seconds or something each lap that's really throwing off the count. Should we just call the part right now? It's 29 minutes. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna call the part right here. It's gonna be easier, and it'll still be 4 parts. Don't worry. Okay, so I'll see you next time. I hope you're enjoying it. I'm gonna do the same thing I did last time, though. We're gonna fire up the part, and then I'm gonna leave the room because I need more coffee. All right, so yeah, hope you enjoyed it. Hope you enjoy the next one. And I'll see you in a second. You go over there and wait for me. I'll be there. Or yeah, I'll be there in a second.